Hey, and welcome back to Soaring Profits Live Thursday night. Cheating a little bit because, as you know, you probably, hopefully by now have seen that I'm not in Peterborough. I'm in Portugal, living it up and enjoying nice weather, running in the streets all over, and telling you how great it is. But currently, I'm not there yet, and so we have decided to do a little pre-recording just in case something happens and I'm not able to do it because I don't exactly know where I'll be in Portugal on Thursday because it's kind of one of those backpacking trips. So what we did is we have the amazing Scott. Now we had Scott before, and we talked a little bit about a different part of what he did. But Scott is a minister. He works at the street level mostly, and now he's kind of like I can't remember the term right now, but he goes in to places. Missionary, that's it. He's a missionary in Peterborough. He goes into places that we probably don't want to go, and helps our neighbors who have been displaced. He brings them food. He brings them in one case on Saturday. He's going to tell you all about, like last Saturday when it was the coldest that Peterborough has been in quite a while, in a full year. And he found a way to keep people warm. He's not only a visionary, but he also has some interesting ways to help people who have been displaced. And I just think that his story is wonderful, and I think it's worth to have him come back on. He's the creator of Street Level Advocacy, which is a group that literally goes out on the streets as missionaries and helps these people on the ground level. Now, Scott, I'm going to play a little video here because I think it's exciting. On the 25th, coldest day of winter, you're going to have a little fundraiser for you, and they picked you, yep, which is great. They do the coldest day of the year every year, and they pick a group to fundraise for, and they thought your group was fantastic, so they chose you. So let's take a look at this video, and then we'll talk to you about what's going on here.
Hi, Scott Cooper here from Street Level Advocacy. Once again, we're honored to be the charity of choice for coldest night of the year, and our 2023 walk is just around the corner. There's a lot changed in the last year. We've experienced a lot of cool things, a lot of growth. We've handed out thousands of pounds of clothing and food, and we've given waters and tents and all kinds of things. But more than that, our team has grown. And so on either side of me, we have a team of volunteers, Leanne, Chris, Jim. We're out on the streets 5 days a week, trying to be a source of encouragement and help to those that are living rough, who spend a lot of time in the overflow parking lot.
So first of all, Scott, shout out to your daughter for doing some camera work there. I understand she's the digital media expert in the SLA crowd.
Yep.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear that. That's great. So first off, obviously it looks like you guys, you're doing some interesting things. You're growing your organization. And kind of before we started here, you were talking about kind of the ministry and a missionary in that form. And I think you explained it really well. And I'd like you to explain it again, because we don't think of missionaries the same way in North America here as maybe the stereotypical. Give us a little bit of input on that, Scott, if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay. So after 30 years of being a pastor and the last 10 in Peterborough, I think I along with a lot of the other guys in town, I have a great network of pastor friends, and we would all comment on what was happening downtown and what are we going to do and what can the church do? I mean, churches are full of people, so are bars, but I mean, who care? I mean, and there's a lot of Christians that want to do something, don't know what to do, don't know how to go back. So long story short, I basically was trying to figure out a way where I could get out of the office and out of the local church where there's, a group of good, healthy people that I could hand leadership off to somebody else and get downtown to where the need is. So I didn't really know how to do that. But I guess I kind of took a step of faith and during a season of unemployment, I drive tractor trailer a little bit on the side. So I was doing some of that. And then I would go and take a backpack, especially in the summer, and walk up and down George and water and along the river. And I'd have waters in my backpack and snacks, and just trying to figure out how does a guy have an impact down here? And the first thing I knew I had to do was get to know people. So, and just like entering into any other crowd, you got to pick the kingpins. And then once you get to know them, when you walk into a crowd, they say, "Don't worry, it's Scott. He's okay." So that's kind of what I did. I helped one guy, actually. It was a year ago. It was November 21, and he, an older guy in an electric wheelchair, actually was living under the overhang at the coffee shop down by the river. Just a second, Silver Bean. Yeah. And he's sleeping in cardboard, and I'm saying, "Dude, what are you doing down here?" And he says, "Well, this is his wife had passed away from cancer."
Right.
Everybody on the street has a traumatic story. Everybody has PTSD. Something sent them to the street, not just their own willfulness. And but anyway, so long story short, I got this guy into a barrier-free, like brand new apartment up in the second floor of Brock Mission. I went and advocated for him with the head of the Brock Mission. The guy basically told me, "This fella fell through the cracks. Thank you for finding him for us. That's what these places were built for." He's still in there and doing awesome. His health's improved, and he's a great guy. But he was one of the kingpins. So when I would walk right into a crowd of all these guys, they're it's just like walking into a Tim Hortons with all the old guys sitting around having their
Hey,
coffee.
how are you? Yeah. But this is exactly where you kind of got James and I to buy into this. And we've talked before on this show, is that I was the old crotchety, staunch conservative. Get a job, you bum. And then coming in and having a conversation with you is that you're doing the things that I don't care what your master's of social work tells you. Yeah. You're going out and you're pressing flesh. You're going out and shaking hands with these people and doing that job that is so important that I think for the last X number of years we've gotten away from. And for whatever reason, right, these people have become sort of an untouchable member of our society. And you're the one. I keep coming back to this, and James and I have talked about this with other people. Scott, you're the one that has kind of enlightened us to what's going on in our own community, our own backyard, and how to help. Like, what's next? How can people be helping Scott and what you're building on right now?
So basically, I am funded because I've made that transfer over from being a pastor in a church that draws his salary from the church community. I applied to become an urban missionary. And so, I was saying earlier that when we were in the green room there about, we think of a missionary selling all their possessions, getting on a plane, going to Africa and starting over again. And before they go, they got to hit up every relative and every friend, for support. And I kind of done that. I've got folks in churches. I've got relatives who give little bits of money every month to support me. I'm supported right now by 8 different churches across Ontario. I spoke in 13 different churches last year, and I know I've spoken in I think it was 6 different churches in Peterborough. So so I've raised my own salary. That's what I'm getting to, and because I'm not quite old enough to retire, and I'm certainly not rich enough, I needed to be able to go and do this full time without worrying about income. So basically, my salary, my benefits, my health package, all that stuff is because I'm a 33-year-old veteran, or 33 years in the denomination that I'm with. They look after all that. I have to raise it all. So what it does is free me up. So anything that I receive through Facebook, or somebody sends me a cash donation, or somebody puts $50 in my hands, everything I get, I can keep moving forward. See, that's the beauty of it, because I'm all looked after. My administration, all of that's taken care of through the movement that I work for. And so we've had incredible success through Facebook. Again, I'm stuck in between two worlds. Like my daughter, who did that video for me, she's 30, and she actually works at Spa Euphoria, does their media and stuff, and she just shot all that on her iPhone. And but she's helped me. I'll post to Facebook. She'll bump it ahead to Instagram, because I don't even have an Instagram account. And that's been really cool. And people have reached out to me, and they're collecting stuff out of their closets. And I'll go to somebody's house and pick up 3 garbage bags full of sweaters and socks and stuff, because the family has done a cleanup. Well, that goes straight in my pickup truck, and we start handing it out the very next day. Right. So how people have supported me and continue to support me is just through donations of used clothing. We have church groups. We have people that make us sandwiches. We're now, I started, I think I told you, with the leftovers, the day olds from Starbucks, Chemong North. And I would get a bag of, leftover breakfast sandwiches and stuff. They were a great hit. And that was good enough for me when I was kind of walking around on my own. Now we are going through like three full loaves of sandwiches every day, along with a case of water. And so we have some groups, especially churches, that are making sandwiches. So Calvary Church down on Lansdowne across from Toyota, they'll give us 4 loaves on Tuesday. And there's different groups doing that, so that's how people are helping us, making sandwiches, bringing us clothing, used, shoes and boots, and then there's the odd cash donation stuff. Like we have to buy cases of water. It costs money for me to, obviously run my truck around. And we've got some volunteers that come in one guy's from Norwich. The other girl is all the way past Havelock, and another guy is on foot here in Peterborough. So it just helps us to have things in our hands, because our whole ministry is about giving things without question, we do not proselytize. We're not out there to push our faith. I'm a man of faith. I'm motivated by my faith, because I'm not just this great person that I'm motivated by my faith, right? So if somebody asks me, hey, why are you doing this? And they find out, some of them call me Pastor Scott down there and stuff, and that's not what I'm after, but that's the way so they'll come to me with, on their worst day and ask me to pray for them, and that's great. I'll do that, but I don't lead with that, and I don't force that on anybody, but it is a bonus to what I do. If you want to talk about stuff like that, or you want me to pray for you, I'm glad to do that. And I'm obviously coming from a faith-based, but the beauty of where I come from too is that I'm not drawing any funding from United Way. I don't draw any funding from the city. I'm not drawing from any of our systems within the city, and I'm not competing. Like that's another problem that you get into when you bump into social services and stuff. Unfortunately, they all have to compete for the same dollars. And there can be some unhealthy rubbing of shoulders, because they're worried that, hey, that's Street Level, they're doing good stuff, they're going to take our funding. Nah, that's the beauty of what we do. We're literally a gift from the local church. So nobody ever has to worry. And I won't take government funding, because then they begin to dictate what I do and say, and I wouldn't be able to share my faith if that ever came up. So I like the way I'm rolling now.
Absolutely.
And it means that anything we get, we can just 100% of it kind of pass along. And that's the fun part of it. We're giving gifts every day and bringing hope and encouragement, and I have the time. I'm not just I'm not just running and throwing things out the door. I stop in the middle of the parking lot and I'm at least there an hour and a half because I visit. I go to all the tents, call them by name because half of them are sleeping. Come on, I got a whole load of new socks, or I got toques, and they come and they hang around the tailgate and we visit and we laugh. And honestly, guys, I got a whole congregation of people in that parking lot, right? It's just a different thing, but that's what I love about it is I love the people. And I truly have a whole crew of friends, especially down at that Rehill lot. And then I'm also meeting some incredible community members who are driving through that lot, opening their tailgate, giving things out. I bet you I've met a dozen different people. There's a young lady down there, a young mom and her husband. He works at an auto shop all day, comes home, showers, she's making dinner. Her mother looks after all the kids. They have a whack of young kids. And then they come out to the parking lot and hand out hot meals. They're just volunteers. And I've just met this couple. So we have some incredible people in Peterborough that just out of their own kindness of their heart and their own resources are doing what I'm doing. So I'm just one cog in the wheel, but
so I think that exactly goes to, first of all, we've seen that you're growing. SLA is growing. You've got, if we played that video a little longer, you're going to introduce all these individuals that are kind of teaming up with you and going. But, you talk about this young family, and in today's society, you're running this, you're running that, you're feeling, way behind. You can't go out and do that. That seems like old time Peterborough. That seems like old time community. And it's a pleasure to hear stories like that, because I don't think we take enough time to pat individuals on the back when they take that time to go out and do that. Take that time to show up and help those people that are in need. So that's I think it's fantastic, Scott. I can't sing your praises enough. What you've done, what your organization is currently doing in that. You did bring up there, but the Rehill lot. Now, has that been? I'm sliding all over the place here. The Rehill lot. Now, is that kind of a new location that's kind of popped up here?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's the same as the overflow lot. So the Rehill, it's the old, the city bought the old Rehill building, the construction building, and it is Wolf Street or the overflow.
Oh.
And it's in the parking lot. And I guess the city renamed it Rehill. It's actually a city parking lot. So I switch back and forth. I apologize for that, but that's
I did know that Rehill Building Supplies, like it looks like their building is being torn down currently. I didn't know if that was popping up as a new spot or not.
No, we're still in the Wolf Street. The Rehill parking lot is still the overflow parking lot at Wolf Street, and that's where I am every day. I do swing around to Millennial Park, and there's a couple of other locations where there are folks tenting off on their own, and I know them, and I'll wander back down, walk some tracks or walk some trails to find them and bring them food and just chat with them and see if there's anything specific I can bring them.
Well, what's happened with a lot of the people? Because again, for those of you that, the profiteers out there all across Ontario and around, we've had some interesting people since you've been on last. We've been in Brazil, we've been in Texas, we've been all over the place here the last little while. So we've got kind of people over. But the tent city, quote unquote, the tent city that had popped up here locally was, and maybe Scott, you can give us a little better history of what happened there and the disassemblement of it, and then what happened with it.
So are you talking about back in 2019, that tent city?
No, even the one that we had, in the last couple months, like at post-election, it seemed like the Rehill, the Wolf Street lot, it looked like it was disassembled.
Yes and no. It's still in existence, and there are still, I would say, at least 25 people living there. What happens though is I know there was some videos that went viral and everything of the city, using front end loaders to pick up, tents and throw them in. And it is a sad sight. And then I've been there when that's happened. And there's usually a rallying cry and people show up with their cell phones. And quite frankly, that slowed that whole process down.
Really?
For the city and the police, I think they just didn't want that PR. And so I would say that tent city is pretty established right now. There are guys down there building like foundational platforms out of skids and everything, and
Right.
and trying to make things warmer and more comfortable. And I personally don't feel there's a fear anytime soon of them being removed, and certainly not with front end loaders.
Well, we certainly aren't using that space for anything right now.
No,
like it's not a parking lot that anyone would want to use anyway, and it's not attached to any one building that needs it. So really, it is a great space for something like that.
Yeah, it is kind of out of the way. You have to go around to drive through it, and then and there are different people driving through just gawking because they've heard about it. But a lot of times, what happens is, let's say somebody does get housing, and this used to upset me again. You know, Pat, that like I would even in this instance think, why did they do that? Because they've amassed all this junk, they've got this tent, they've got it all set up, and then boom, social services find them housing. And that does happen the odd time. I mean, housing's hard to find, but so Joe Blow gets into a house, and Joe's gone for a week, and his tent is still there, and it's been ransacked, it's half up, there's crap everywhere. And I'm thinking, why didn't you clean that up before you go, Joe? You're not doing yourselves any favors. You're not doing this community any favors, because when people drive through, and then I kind of logicked it through. If I was Joe and I know I'm going into housing tomorrow, how do I clean that up? Like wrap it all up, put it in my basement? No, I don't have a basement. What about throwing it in a dumpster? Oh, I'll get arrested for throwing it in somebody's dumpster. You can't just throw it in any dumpster. Yeah. I don't have a curb to put it neatly. So, I mean, I kind of feeling like realizing like, you know what, there are no options for them. So they just leave it.
They probably also think that people will scavenge it.
Yeah. And they
people are going to take it, what they want, what they need. Right.
That's partly it. And then there's just a big mess behind. And then quite frankly, a lot of that is what you see when the front end loaders are there. That tent has been empty for a couple of weeks.
Right.
So
you're telling me that this is all a bit of a PR play with the city.
I'm not saying all of it. I'm not saying all of it. I have heard. I do know that there have been people that left their tent to go to Salvation Army to get a breakfast, and when they came back, because it was cleanup morning, their tent was gone. That has happened. Just maybe not as many times. It's not every time that's what's happening.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it still happens, and it happens all over the place. Like it's happened in Toronto, it's happened in Peterborough. So it does happen. Either way, if it happens once, it's still bad. But I just want to get back to the fact that you said that you're not a great man, that you're just a man who follows God. I'm telling you right now, Scott, there's not a lot of people who follow God that are doing what you're doing. You are an amazing man. The fact that you just go and you stop and talk to these people, make them feel human, make them feel important, make them feel part of a community. If you just did that, if you just went from 10 to 10 and said, hey man, how are you doing today? What's going on? That would be an uplifting thing. But you also provide them with food, with access to care. If you see someone who like in a wheelchair who needs that extra level of care, you're in there fighting for them. Scott, like, don't sell yourself short. I know you're a humble guy, but you've done a lot of great things. So what I want to do at this very moment is help you. So if someone wants to help you, say they want to donate, they want to give you money, they want to maybe they want to even volunteer beside you, would they go to your Facebook? And on there, is there a way to contact you?
Yeah, probably the Facebook's about. I don't have a website yet because, quite frankly, I just got out there.
Daughter hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, my daughter. That's right.
Yeah,
and I'm so busy out there every day. I got no time for that stuff.
I think your Facebook has about 1 million followers. I'm just going to tell you that. Like, yeah. I'll have to look again, but I think it's got 1 million followers already. But so
Really?
but there's a way to, I think so, but there's a way to contact you on there.
Yeah, just do the messenger app. Like that's how people they just message me on the Facebook, and that's how I make most of my new connections, responding to those folks. Yeah.
And you're looking for money, you're looking for like shoes, clothing.
Yeah.
Are you looking for furniture at all? Like what are your key things that you need?
Yeah, so I don't have a warehouse at the moment. I'm hoping that that's something eventually that we can get, is some space, because I do have people reaching out saying, "Hey, somebody's moving. I got a single bed and a couch." Right. The odd time I've been able to take that stuff and move it right away, because there are some folks in tents that will tell me, "Hey, I'm getting housed next week and I need this," and I've brought toasters and frying pans, different things, coffee tables, whatever I can source to those people, because now I got a relationship with them, and I'll show up at their door every once in a while. I just was out for a walk this afternoon, and I got a call from a couple that I found in a tent over a year ago, and they're now housed. Wow. And they're a little strapped for cash, and they were asking if I'd drop off some groceries. So tomorrow I'll go get a few things and drop it off and have a chat with them. They're my friends, right? Yeah. So, so that's kind of what we use. That cash is, I can pull that out of my account. That when people give, like this coldest night of the year coming up, there's a walk. It happens all over Canada, and coldest night of the year is kind of an umbrella organization that choose local charities in each city, and then the brand name recognition on coldest night of the year is phenomenal. And awesome. So that really has helped us. I think last year we had 150 or 175 walkers, and it's a whole family event. We have a 2-kilometer walk and a 5-kilometer walk, and it's a lot of fun. And you're walking after dark through, we purposely chose a route down George and along water. And we stop, there's hot chocolate and coffee, and but there are entire families that come with little kids, and it's a really neat opportunity, because you're out there and you're having fun, and you got your new toque on, and they hand out toques for the coldest night of the year, and you're walking with your family, but you're realizing, man, it's cold out here, and we get to go back and have chili at the end of the walk and go home to our warm homes. But I can't imagine settling down for the night right now. And so there is something really cool about being out there on our city streets, where there are people that are crawling into their tents and trying to stay warm for the night. So
I think you said a mouthful there, Scott. I think that the average, Peterboroughian has never stayed out, maybe 2:30 in the morning, coming home from a place they never should have been downtown, or that sort of thing. But that's about as late as a lot of these folks have ever been. You hit 4 or 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, it's a different world that most people have never experienced and will never experience for a number of reasons and great things. But again, I think that, it's an interesting, the walk, to go out there and do that and spend that time. I think it's a great idea. Now, when is that walk? How do people get involved with that walk?
Yeah, so that's Saturday, February 25th. We're going to meet at the Bridge drop-in center. It's at the corner of Bethune and Brock at 4 o'clock. And then Michelle Ferreri's all over that. She comes and walks, and usually give her the microphone for a couple minutes. And but we have some Starbucks is giving us free coffee, and Coca-Cola will have free pop there and stuff. And we get some great sponsors. We get everybody rallied together, and then you walk in a huge group. It's a safe, well-lit walk. We have people with signs pointing you at each corner where to turn, and it's a lot of fun. You can go on CNOY, and if you just Google that and .Peterborough, it'll take you right to our site, so you can see how much money we've raised, what our goal is. You can sponsor a walker. I'm walking. you could sponsor me.
Nice.
And there, you know, you could be a team captain and gather a group from your own neighborhood and go for a walk. We're going to have actually this year, it's not chili, it's shepherd's pie we're going to have after, and a coffee, and send everybody on their way. So even with kids, if we start the walk at 5, it's all wrapped up by 7 p.m.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. So we got what,
So
70.
it's not too late to become a member of this, but you have to sign up first. You don't just show up to the parking lot.
Right.
You gotta sign up, start raising. Probably pretty easy to raise money. Like, I don't know, I just signed up to this great run, and basically they sent me an email and said, your website's all set up. All you have to do is hit go and send it to people. Is it kind of like that?
Yeah, it's great. There's actually, you know, when you sign up there, they actually give you this. You can just send an email to your whole list of contacts saying, hey, I'm in this walk, and would you consider sponsoring me? They do all the work for you. It's pretty cool.
They even write the letter for you. Like, that's beautiful. It's so easy. Yeah, like, so this thing, and it's not this, but I'm sure it's the same. They write the letter for you. They send it out. They'll even like link to your Facebook, do all this. So it's easy if you guys can get out there and do this. All you have to do, the first step, sign up. Is there anything when you sign up? Do you pay up front? Is there like a $25 fee or anything?
No, I don't think there's any fees. Like, you set a goal for yourself, and you can sponsor yourself to get started or whatever. It's really about community, and it's about experiencing the walk. Like, I think in theory, you could come and just walk and not pay a penny. That's not, that's great. And this is a great fundraiser for us. Again, at Christmas, I think I probably told you guys the day after, we bought 75 hot meals from PJ's restaurant up on Shamong. And so we were helping a little restaurant in town. They gave us a great deal on a hot ham dinner. We handed out, meals. We set up this tent on the parking lot of the Overflow, and we had about $4,000 worth of sleeping bags, underwear, socks, gloves. And so it was just a Christmas festival in the parking lot there. Everybody got a ham dinner, and we had heaters going. So that's the kind of thing that we'll use these finances for. We turn around and it gives us the ability to. I've bought tents for people. Again, I think last spring I bought 50 pairs of shoes. Saw a deal and went in and talked to the manager, and all sizes, and just started handing out shoes in the spring. We'll probably have to do that again this year.
Well, you were talking about a really interesting thing you did last weekend. So last weekend, Saturday, coldest, cold day, like so cold that my running group that's dedicated to run like in the rain and the snow and the sleet, doesn't matter. We all collectively said, not a chance are we going outside, even to walk to our car, let alone run in it. Right. And here you are doing what?
Well, we saw it coming up on the Weather Network and thought, like, this can be like minus 40 some odd with the wind chill. And again, folks in that parking lot aren't going to leave their tent. They're going to try and survive, because if they leave the tent, it could get ransacked, might not be there. So they'll go get warm somewhere for a night. When by the time they get back, everything's gone. They're not willing to take the chance. So we thought we need to somehow have a warming room, a warming space there. And so I hit up one of my buddies who is a contractor, and he has this huge utility trailer enclosed with a drop-down gate at the back and a side door. And I think there's pictures on my Facebook actually of that. And so we brought a little generator. We had lights going and propane heaters inside. We had 10 chairs in a circle in there. We had Starbucks gave me coffee. So we dropped it off at 5 p.m. on the Friday, and we're there till about 2 o'clock on the Saturday the next day through that coldest stretch. So people could come in all through the night. I worked till midnight, and then a couple of young guys came in, and they manned the trailer overnight for me. So we had different volunteers. There's the coffee there. That's Ian Kirkland from Kirkland Engineering that was on shift with me till midnight that night. So we had as many as 8 people sitting around in chairs inside that trailer. And they'd come in just shaking and shivering, and it actually was a lot of fun. And different people from the community running through in their cars, and hey, I got a pizza here. I said, bring it in. So we're serving food and coffee and hot chocolate all night. The night before, I was there with a little smaller trailer because it was pretty cold too. But yeah, pancakes and cheese bacon the next morning, Saturday morning, and that's hand sanitizer they burn. I got 500 of those. Just recently, we're handing them out.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I know when we first chatted, that blew my mind.
That blew my mind too. I had no idea.
Yeah, so you learn a lot. These people are incredibly resilient and inventive. They take hand sanitizer. It's got to be an alcohol content of 70% or more, and they'll burn it. They'll put it in a little soup can, and squirt some of that in there, light it up, and it burns hot. They'll often put it in a bigger soup can, so you're not touching that little. And they kind of put it in the middle of their tent, and they hover over it, and it provides a smokeless, hot flame. Now, it's dangerous. You should never have an open flame in a tent, but living in a tent in -40 is more dangerous. So Absolutely. It's kind of the lesser of two evils. But, and I was concerned, somebody going to drink it. And I once asked one of my buddies down there, I said, seriously, dude, is anybody drinking this? And he said, are you kidding me? We die, so that made me feel better.
Yeah.
Because, I don't want to be harming anybody with it. But
right.
So the Lions Club from Havelock just last week, there was a bunch of this stuff. Apparently it's got a stale date on it. And when it goes stale, they sell it off for next to nothing. So the Lions Club from Havelock bought me 500 of these things.
Wow.
And the business itself, the grocery outlet, gave me 30 to get me started. Wow. So we hand everybody a cup, 2 or 3 of these, every week, and it just kind of keeps them. And then we had that high school class, that Catholic high school class that made these little stoves, and they were made for the burners that go in chafing trays. But those burners, and they last 6 hours, and they're like $6 a piece on Amazon, and I can't afford to keep doing that. I bought 3 or 4 flats of them, but that's 6 hours. If I give one to somebody, you got it 6 hours. I'll get you through one night, So this way they can squirt this stuff into that same little heater that we handed out. Those little we called them tent stoves, and we just made up a name, but they can use that, and it's got a great.
The thing that usually you put under food.
Yeah,
keep the food warm.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and that's what those. So the high school class is Saint. I shouldn't drop names if I don't know the right one. Sorry.
Holy Cross.
It's on. It's up by the hospital.
St. Pete.
That's it. Yeah. And the shop teacher lives right across the road from me. And so I approached him with this, and they made 25 of them, and we handed them out at Christmas, actually, with the sleeping bags and everything, and they were delighted. So it's just a little, but they're heavy gauge steel, and they have legs on them so they don't tip. And then there's a grate that goes on with a handle, and they can actually warm a can of soup or raviolis or whatever on top of that. So yeah, we're just doing little things to just try and make their lives a little more comfortable.
What's it cost to kind of run your operation right now? Obviously you've got some variable costs when you get nights that are 30, 40 below. You're bringing in a trailer, which you'd likely save lives that night with that. But what sort of
run likely for sure save lives?
Yeah. Well, again, most of my costs, it takes people. So I'm looked after. My truck goes in for some transmission lines this week. I keep my truck rolling, and those are everyday costs, and I just that all comes out of the money that I've raised. That's what it takes for a missionary to do his job, right? So it's pretty cheap. I don't have any overhead as far as we don't have a storage place yet or an office. I do all my office work from home. We're really low overhead. That's kind of and mostly volunteers, right? We have my salary, and there's another lady that's coming through that's going to be working part-time actually March 1st. And she's doing the same thing. She's becoming, with our movement, a missionary. So she's raising her, she's hitting up all her relatives and stuff. So that's not really a draw on our group. So it's just the money just kind of goes right to getting things on the street, to be honest with you.
So obviously, you said at the beginning there that you're hesitant about taking government funding because it could end up being forced to change your mandate.
Yeah.
But is there something there as far as like grant operations, or is there something else out there that there's potential cash flow? And especially to me, what you're doing is what should be happening. And if we look at some of the budgets that are somewhat inflated for all of the other programming that we have out there that has huge barriers to entry, right? And then I see someone like yourself that you're just like, no, I'm going to go put a sandwich in this guy's hands and make sure that he has something hot to keep him warm. Like that to me is night and day more beneficial than the millions and millions and millions of dollars that we seemingly, as a taxpayer and somewhat ignorant one, waste.
Yeah, I can't really speak to that. I can tell you why I don't want government funding, because a lot of what I'm doing, and in fact, I think a lot of the social services were a little bit leery of what I'm doing and how I am doing it, because we now travel in twos, and that's where the volunteers come in. I used to be just a guy with a backpack when I started, and they were worried. I'm a white, middle-aged guy walking around, and I could be human trafficking or dealing drugs or whatever. I mean, and I'm not helping myself. So I've kind of learned as I go to protect my own, I always have somebody with me now, and we do everything. I won't go into a tent. I'll stick my head in and talk to them or whatever. There's different things I do. If I was government funded, there's I couldn't take, I have taken people for emergency dental because I came across one individual on the street that was like, what's wrong today? They're normally really good. We were actually on George Street, and they were living in the front entrance of a abandoned, business. And I came along, and they were just sullen and downcast, and it's like, what's going on? And they were experiencing incredible tooth pain. And I said, well, right across from ODSP, you go up there, tell them you need help because they have emergency stuff. So that individual went up, came back within 10 minutes. And I said, well, what happened? And they said, they told me to take a hike. I said, give me a break. So I said, you come with me. So I went back up and kind of played advocate, interpreter. For this person that's in pain, is not a great communicator to begin with, doesn't have a lot of social skills, and is in incredible pain. So I explained what this person needed. They called the emergency dental hotline, because apparently we do have one service and I had to take that person all the way to Lakefield.
Wow.
I just threw them in the truck, said, we're going. And I tried to convince their partner to come with me. And that was really difficult because they had to stay with the grocery cart with everything they owned. Yeah. So I called my wife, as I said, I have so-and-so with me. I'm leaving this point at this time. That was my accountability, right?
Right.
Drove the person up to Lakefield to the emergency dental, went to Tim Hortons and had a coffee while they did. The dentist office called me. I picked them up, brought them back down. Had to have a tooth removed because but I couldn't do that as a social worker.
Right. No, you couldn't. You couldn't even have them in your car.
No, because of insurance.
Yeah.
Because of policy. And honestly, I'm just trying to get the job done. So like I said, I've been over to Brock Mission. I've taken, there's another lady you need to have on. Her name's Leanne Quinn. Have you ever heard of her?
Absolutely. No.
So she is a retired Army nurse, I believe, and she's tough as nails. She's awesome, and she's, I don't know, 5 foot or something like that. But she was a nurse practitioner in town, and then retired from that. Saw the need. She now runs a 2-day emergency clinic out of the back of Brock Mission for street folks, that's street affiliated.
Yep.
So I've actually called her in the parking lot of the Overflow and said, I got a guy here with an infection and he needs some meds. And no, he says nobody will look at him and everything. And I said, is this was a Thursday or something? And I knew her clinic was open tomorrow. So I said, can I get him there tomorrow? And she goes, well, where are you? And I said, I'm down at the Overflow. I'm coming down. So this lady, I mean, she's a volunteer to begin with, but she drops what she's doing. And I dropped the tailgate of my truck and she saw 5 different people. There was a lineup of people and she's writing scripts for penicillin and stuff like that in the parking lot. Like, that woman is amazing. Yeah. But those are the kind of things that I can get done because I don't have my hands tied like so many other government workers. And I know I'd get my hands slapped if there was a certain person watching this thing, it's like process and
Well,
you're right. A lot of my
they hear your message and not try to get involved, and we don't have people, trying to stop what a wonderful thing you're doing. Because, like, just thinking about that one story that you just said. So I think in terms of, we have all these great things. You can go to the hospital, you can go get help, you can do whatever. These guys all have help, right? This is the way we think. But here you are, you sent the guy where he was supposed to go because you know where he's supposed to go. He goes, and because he can't necessarily say what's wrong or he can't communicate properly, he's sent away, and then he goes back and he just doesn't get dealt with. Right. But even then, so say he gets dealt with and they're like, oh yeah, no problem, just go to Lakefield. How's he going to get to Lakefield?
That was it. Yeah.
What are you talking about, Lakefield? Like, barrier after barrier after barrier. And I know these are all good people, so don't get me wrong. Like, I think the people at ODSP are just trying to do their job. They're trying to do the best they can. But like you said, there's all of these rules. Like, even the stuff that I do, there's certain things I can't do because of the business I'm in.
Right.
Definitely, I can't be alone with a client in a car, Yeah.
And I would normally never do that. But it was either that or watch this person suffer for the next week. Like, I just thought, this has got to get done. It's probably not the best, to put out here. But honestly, those are the things I'm solution driven. I got to get a solution to this. This is not good enough. We're going to fix it today. And I do what I have to do.
But you said a wonderful thing at the beginning there. You were talking, and I wanted to get back to that, is that you went in and you talked to all the kingpins and they trusted you. So therefore everyone trusts you. And I wanted to ask you, why is that important? And I think I know the answer. Like, I think it's fairly obvious, but like, why can't I just walk in and I start helping people? Like, how is that different from you going in and doing what you're doing? What if I just walked in with the trailer and said, hey, everybody get in the trailer? How would it be different, do you think?
Well, they're very suspicious. I mean, because I don't know how many times I got asked if I was a cop when I first started doing this. And I don't know whether, like, they say, you just got the cop vibe. And I don't know whether it's the way I walk or whatever. So nobody does anything out of the goodness of their heart anymore. That's just something you can check off your list right away. You there's an angle. Everybody has an angle. You want something. So it takes a long time for them to understand that I'm actually here to give. I'm not here to get. And honestly, that's my faith. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe I would be looking for an angle, but it's my faith that pushes me out there. And so I am friends with a lot of these people. You go to their tent and say, hey, anybody in there? And I got sandwiches, and you don't hear anything. There's nothing. I go, it's Scott. Oh, how's it going, Scott? Yeah, they're pretending they're not there, right? Because they don't know there's a safety issue.
100%.
So they need to feel safe. And I have the privilege, and I honestly feel privileged that so many of them trust me. And because all I've ever done is give, and I've never asked for anything back, and I never will. And I'm just a conduit. I mean, our community has given so much stuff to me, and I just keep it going. And that's, so I'm Santa Claus every day. My job's fun.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's cool.
No, I think that's amazing. You're absolutely right. I imagine there's all kinds of levels where they don't trust people. And yeah, I can see a cop vibe off you. It's the way you hold yourself. You have that confidence about you, and that's probably why one of the reasons you do so well in that community is because you do have the confidence to go where some people might not feel safe, but still have that confidence to talk and say, no, I'm safe, and we can work this out. And also you have the confidence to talk to the other side. You're like an interpreter on both sides, because you're talking to the people that have the money and the people who don't have the money and bringing them together. And that would not be happening if there was no Scott. I'm telling you right now. Then you're also starting this street level advocacy, this organization, ground floor organization that people on the street can trust. So that they see that little sign right on the shirt, right? They know they can trust. You're building a brand that people who are neighbors that have been displaced can trust. And that's beautiful. Imagine being able to walk up and go, yep, I'm with Street Level Advocacy, a good friend of Scott. He told me to come down here and help you guys out. Yeah, I bet you that goes a long way. And I just think it's beautiful. I just know you sell yourself so short. And I think I would love if someone reached out to you because of this video right now and said, hey, you know what? I got a warm barn. We could throw some beds in it. And, as a storage area, not as a sleeping area, but like as a storage area, so we could store your stuff, or maybe give you some more food, or give you some more money. Like, if these are the things you need, I think it would be beautiful if someone had a store, it would have to be a warm storage space that, so rats can't get in and stuff like that, right? Yeah. But that's what you're looking for. If someone could offer a storage space, that would be something you'd be interested in.
As long as it's within, a reasonable driving area. I don't want to be too picky, but like I have the back end of a store front right now, it's probably 15 by 4, and I have a bunch of shelves, and I can back up the alley. It's right beside the post office. It's Friends, and it's actually operated by a church. And so they've given me the keys to the back, and I work with Dave Fisher there. They do tax returns. They did 1,400 tax returns for free for people. If you're a street person, you got to keep your tax return right there, or you don't get your ODSP, right? So a lot of them go there. So I have that partnership, but I mean, eventually I would love to have a storefront drop-in place just for the street affiliated, to come in, grab a coffee, get warm in the winter, get cool in the summer, have volunteers there, just making conversation, having food, having, donations on the table. That would be my dream. And I also have a dream to have a rehab center, like a residential, like a house. Right. Because there are people that want to get free, and there's just, you got to go to Oshawa, which is a 30-day program, and it's hard to get into, or Kingston. Right. So we need that. And so those are my goals. Like I'm the Band-Aid guy right now, and I'd really like to see some long-term 100%. Solutions. Yeah, but that's all in the future, and that's when the big money, right now I can scoot around. It's not a lot of overhead, but once you start,
but you're building a business model and a case for what you're trying to do. And I am someone who would look at yourself and go, are you willing to do the work? Clearly check that box. So if you're looking at investing and that sort of deal, you want somebody that knows what they're doing and how to do it at a grassroots level. And then that's buildable. Your next moves are buildable. So that's all scale, right? So guys, we are 55 minutes into this tonight. If we go 59 minutes and 99 seconds, we lose it because we're recording this for our Thursday night live. So we got to stay under an hour. So we got to wrap it up. So Scott, we're going to leave it with you again with our final little send off. But as always, folks, profiteers, Scott with SLA here. This is a guy who's doing some real interesting stuff. This is something you can get involved with. We shared the website there a little bit earlier. donate, come down for the walk on the 20th. It sounds like they're going to be, they're going to be touching and feeling some things that are pretty close to home. So, Scott, as always, pal, I appreciate you coming on. We're going to have you on again soon. We want to keep in touch with what you're doing. And any way we can help you, we want to be a part of that. So thanks, Scott. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Scott. So like February 25th, the walk, like you said, just go on coldest night of the year. Look up Peterborough so that you can get a part of it. I'm telling you right now, doing these walks and things are so easy now. Like it really, the computer does itself. You just like push a button, it knows it lists all your emails, you send it out, and people are so generous when it's easy. And it is easy. You'll get your friends involved, and you'll help out Scott. And as you can see, Scott's a down-to-earth, very well-organized man who is really changing lives and saving lives. I'm telling you, last weekend, if people slept on those streets, they'd be dead. Honest to God, there's no way. Like, it was so cold, people's cars weren't starting. And if batteries can't start, hearts are, going to stop. And that's a terrible thing. If you have a space that you could store some stuff inside the Peterborough limits here and help out Scott, maybe you could reach out to him, or money or clothes or anything you need. I think Scott's just a wonderful guy. I couldn't wait to get him back on, and we'll probably talk again to him in the near future, because I really think that street level advocacy is going to grow and grow and grow. And I look forward to the great things that you're going to create and do. And I'd like you all out there, profiteers, to let's heal our minds, bodies, and souls together.
And Scott, lead us off, pal. What's your final word of wisdom, and what do you need from the community in less than 3 minutes?
No, I can do that. I just thinking what I didn't realize when I got into this is that those people on the street, those people are our neighbors, and they're friends. Like, honestly, I look forward to seeing them every day, and we do a lot of laughing. I share a lot of their sorrows and griefs, like we chat. I'm privileged to be in the center of their lives on a daily basis. And so I guess I want to encourage each of your listeners and watchers to, be mindful that there are friends that they haven't met yet out there, and they just need to kind of open their eyes and reach out to those that look like they're having a rough day. I mean, there's people everywhere, right? And and for what I need, I mean, a few folks would jump on CNOY Peterborough and maybe sponsor me on my walk, or come on out, walk with us. That would be great. We just appreciate it. Appreciate you guys continuing to stay in touch and take an interest. And